People were skeptical about the Locky Trinity that I had for UFC 314, but it does come through and we're able to cash a ticket there as Gene Silva goes out there and submits Bryce Mitchell, and then Alexander Volkanovski reclaims the UFC featherweight title by defeating Diego Lopez, and that cashes our Locky two-step at plus 156. The Locky Trinity was actually the first fight of the night as Nora Knoll was able to get that finish over Haley Cowan in the second round and help us cash a plus 307 Locky Trinity ticket. Let's see if we can keep the momentum rolling into this weekend's UFC Kansas City card, putting together a solid Locky two-step and Locky Trinity and hopefully cashing those parlays for you guys. Again, I do want to apologize for the lack of video for the last few segments that I've been doing. Hopefully, I'm able to get my studio back together by next week, and you guys can see my pretty face again at that point. But as long as you guys get the audio and the picks that I'm dropping, I'm sure you guys are happy. All right. Without wasting too much more time, let's get right into the Locky two-step. The first step is going to be Michel Pereira coming in at minus 135. He is taking a little bit of steam, but I expect him to go out there and absolutely squash Abus Magomedov. This could be competitive early. Yes, Pereira is going to have to fend off a few takedown attempts, but as he shows Magomedov that it's going to be harder and harder to hold him down, I think we'll see Pereira start to let go with his speed, power, and explosivity, and that will eventually allow him to catch Magomedov in the second or third round and get a finish. I don't think people are expecting Pereira to defend the takedowns as well, considering his last performance against Anthony Hernandez, but I think they'll see that there is a huge difference between somebody like Hernandez and somebody like Magomedov, and Pereira will show you the difference there by knocking him out in the second or third round. The second step in the Locky two-step is going to be David Onama, who's taking some steam now as well. I got him in on this parlay around that minus 160 line. I believe he's closing in closer to minus 200 now, if I'm not mistaken. But he's taking on Giga Chikadze. Now, historically, I've been low on Onama, but he continues to go out there and prove me wrong. This is another fight where I expect him to actually show out. And I think that he's going to be able to do that against Chikadze after a competitive first round. I think we'll see Onama match the jab of Chikadze by landing his own power with his speed advantage and that stinging power that I'm sure Chikadze may not enjoy receiving. And then in the second and third rounds, I think we'll see Onama start to mix in some grappling as he lulls Chikadze into thinking that it's a striking battle, and that should lead to Onama getting some control time and eventually landing more damage, cruising in deep water, and winning this fight on the scorecards. Regardless, no matter how he wins, he should help us cash this Locky Trinity, which I was able to lock in a few days ago at plus 182, with that obvious chalk or, the love coming in on both Onama and Pereira over the last few days. That is now dropped down to plus 154. Again, that is the benefit of hopping on the MMA Lock of the Night Patreon page. So you're able to lock in the plus 180s rather than the plus 150s that these parlays normally drop to when I drop the segment to the public on Fridays of Fight Week. Not just because of the Locky Trinity and Locky two-step early access on the Lock of the Night Patreon page, but all the other great content on there, the degenerate parlays, the props, breakdowns for tons of different promotions as well. Make sure you guys check out the MMA Lock of the Night Patreon page for all of that good stuff. All right, now let's switch over to the Locky Trinity here. And the fighter that I'm going to be trusting to hopefully cash this leg for us is going to be Chris Gutierrez as he takes on John Castaneda. Now, this fight was tried, or the UFC has tried to put this fight together a few times now, and now they're hopefully going to be throwing down this weekend. And I'm still kind of surprised at the line that we're getting on Gutierrez. I think that he'll be able to utilize his classic calf kicking style to really slow down Castaneda, and I think we'll see good enough takedown defense from him to stop that game of, or that offense from Castaneda. I think a guy like Castaneda actually utilizes a lot of footwork and movement to try to get off on his style, but he'll be suffering in terms of the big shots that he'll be eating to his calf, and then obviously trying to crash the pocket with a little bit more recklessness. We'll eventually see him get caught by the counters of Gutierrez here. So I think we'll see a classic Gutierrez performance, chopping the lead leg, landing 1-2s down the pipe, sticking and moving as best as possible, and showcasing some solid takedown defense. Now, earlier this week, I was able to lock this bad boy in at plus 383. Now you're looking at plus 335. So still a good number there, but again, much better if you were able to lock it in earlier this week when I dropped it on the Lock for the Night Patreon page. All right. Hopefully we can cash that ticket. Reminder, there is also OKTAGON, Cage Warriors, and KSW going down on Saturday morning/afternoon. I'll have written breakdowns for all those cards as well as track plays for those cards as well. So make sure you guys check that out. That is the MMA Lock of the Night Patreon page. Link for that in the description below. And I will see you guys later today for the full Cage Warriors breakdown as well as the prop drop for UFC Kansas City. See you guys then. Peace.